Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This is a Everchosen player spotlight, this one featuring King of the Dead. Hope you guys are excited about the tournament, I certainly am. Hell, I might be there already. I don't know what order these videos are coming out in. I mean, you might have already seen half of it, I have no idea yet, but hey, here's a game. Yay. So, yes, here we have King of the Dead playing as Norska. He's against Bretonnia, and you might have seen this. Wicked recently brought a build quite similar with the double Frostworm. It works surprisingly well against Bretonnia. All those slows of the Frostworm are really good for limiting the ability to cycle charge with cavalry. It is very useful, and, you know, really good armor piercing, which is really nice against all that heavy cav, and also those breath attacks can really pack a punch. So, 2 Frostworms. Huge investment, mind you. Huge investment, but they can certainly pay for themselves if they don't get shot to pieces. Yeah, they can get shot to pieces by fire arrows a lot. And do you know what else fire arrows will kill? Everything else! So yep, skin wolves, they're weak to fire as well, and these aren't even the armoured ones, so yeah, they got no armour to protect them. And all these Marauder Berserkers, they're all going to be really suffering against fire arrows because they have no armour. And fire arrows, they do have fire damage, sure, that's a big thing of theirs, but their base damage is higher than the other arrows at the cost of less armor piercing. So, it's just going to do more damage, and with no armor to get rid of that, you know, they're going to take a lot of punishment. You know, all of these berserkers are in a lot of trouble if they can't get into the fight. But with so many juicy targets for all the archers, I mean, what do you pick, right? I mean, what on earth do you pick? Also, Throg, he's weak to fire, but yeah, not even a lot of armor on Throg, but huge armor-piercing anti-large, great for dealing with heavy cav, and again, more frostbite, so more ability to slow things down, really useful. He also has a couple of Marauder Spearmen to help pad things out a bit, and he's got Norscan Warhounds and Ice Wolves, and so you can see these guys, they're actually small targets, these guys are large. So Knights of the Realm will be able to get their anti-large bonus off on these, as will Grail Knights, but not on the Warhounds, which is a lot of fun. I think it's kind of cool that the Ice Wolves count as bigger targets, you know? It's kind of cool. Anyway, anti-large arm piercing with the Skin Wolves, and Shaman Sorcerer of Metal. Very handy indeed. So piercing bolts, that will do some good damage, but also he's got Plague of Rust. So any you know, heavy cav, or even just foot squires in the front line, use Plague of Rust on them, and the Marauders will be able to do a ton of damage to them too, because these guys have huge weapon strength, but not a lot of armor piercing. So if you can get rid of the armor, then these guys don't have to worry. And usually, you know, you sunder arm with things like Vermeer, but Laura Metal will do just fine. Also, way in the back, he has the Beast of Tashnar. So, yeah, again, they're the Warhounds, so they're small targets, but they do have anti-large. So, kind of cool. Kind of cool. So here, man-at-arms, foot squires in the back. Only 3 foot squires. There's also some pole arms dotted around. It's just a big old blob of infantry. And of course, yep, fire and pox arrows. So 2 fire arrows and 1 pox. The poison will help slow things down, which means the fire arrows will find their targets a lot easier. Also the Fey Enchantress, so expect a lot of healing. And the Chalice of Potions can do a good chunk of damage too. Favour of the Fey. Great when you use that on cavalry, it'll just give them huge melee attack, let them get a lot of work done. Here there's a mixture of questing knights and Knights of the Realm, same on the other side. So the questing knights would be great for dealing with Vermeer, things like that, and Knights of the Realm, good against all of the lightly armoured large targets, but both of them will do great against any of this front line, because Marauder Berserkers just can't withstand a load of cav charges. So speeding things up, you can see Throg is bobbing and weaving, but the cavalry are coming in. Marauder Berserkers take quite a bit of damage initially from this charge, but they're going to get slowed down by the Norscan Ice Wolves, and then the Spearmen will be able to register some more hits. You can see the Skin Wolves are running in too, and the Archers are focusing their attention on the Brutes of the Hound, because he knows if these Marauders get into this front line, they'll be able to cut through almost all of this infantry eventually. So, may as well wipe out a unit in a few seconds. God, it does some work. Here, an Overcast, Plague of Rust, which means these Knights of the Realm only have 30 armor. And that means that there's not really anything to protect them from the Marauder Spearmen or the Berserkers, and they're still getting slowed down by the Ice Wolves, so they're suffering horribly here. Absolutely horribly. Here, Man-at-Arms are coming to help out, but of course there's Berserkers here. The Berserkers will be able to deal with the Men-at-Arms fine. A load more Archer fire though, and those Brutes of the Hounds have almost had it. They have already managed to cut through one of the units of Men-at-Arms though, which is a little bit insane. And here you can see that the Frostworms have been pestering the back line a bit. They managed to terrify one of the Archers, but that's all. You know, then Knights of the Realm charged in. Up here, questing knights are trying to chase down the Beast of Tashnar a bit, but they don't want to stray too far, because they're going to be needed in here. They're going to be needed. Chalice of Potions about to be used on this infantry and the Norscan Hounds, and now Throg is getting involved, trying to deal with these foot squires. They have a huge attack buff right now with Favour of the Fey. Really helps cut through those Berserkers. So over here, these Berserkers are dealing with the Man-at-Arms, and Spearmen have managed to catch out these Knights of the Realm. These Questing Knights getting caught out. A regrowth on them is going to keep them in the fight for a lot longer. And now the Beast of Tashnar decided just to go straight for the archers. I mean, they're anti-large, sure, but they'll still be able to do a lot of damage to peasant bowmen that just suck against everything in melee. It stops them firing, and it gives all of these units a lot of respite. So now Questing Knights are charging in, and that regrowth is doing a lot of work. But nice juicy breath attack. That did a big chunk of damage. Now the Frostworm's huge armor piercing is helping to break them, which is lovely. Over on this side, see the Berserkers and Spearmen managed to wrap up that side, but you can see the Norscan Hounds did get chased down by the Knights of the Realm, so less harassment in the back line, but the archers are all struggling a bit to stay in here and continue shooting. Two of them are now routing. There is one unit, and it is fire arrows, so it can do some good damage, and the Skin Wolves getting a rear charge there. It was very painful for them. Questing Knights still in here, and the Fey Enchantress getting involved. So, yeah, bold for her. Over here, Throg is trying to avoid getting on these Man-at-Arms and polearms and coming to support the rest of his units. So, Royal Berserkers, they're not going to do so great against the Foot Squires, so really, Shaman Sorcerer wants to sunder their armor, or at least come in with something armor-piercing like Throg that can hopefully do a lot of damage to them. But Questing Knights are hot on his heels, and so he's going to turn around, get a huge hit, and now all the dragons are coming in. All the Frostworms are coming in to try and deal with these Questing Knights, but it does buy time for the archers to keep shooting. So, yeah, plus and minuses on both sides here. Piercing Bolts doing a big chunk of damage to those Foot Squires. Very nicely done. And now the Marauder Berserkers are pulling out, and the Spearman is just going to hold them at bay. So these Questing Knights in a bit of trouble, but one of those Frostworms has taken quite a beating. So over here, suddenly there's a lot of Bretonnian infantry and very little Norscan infantry. I mean, yeah, there are some Berserkers, there's some Spearmen here. They're nice and cheap, that are going to take a lot of the hits with the Berserkers to let them get a lot of kills. And a lot of kills they have, 131 so far, and they're not done yet. So that's pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic indeed. In the back though, oh god, I think that was the Hounds got finished off. Maybe the Skin Wolves. I kind of missed what that was, but either way, there are no Hounds or Skin Wolves left. Here, nice frosty breath attack on these Knights of the Realm, really going to help limit their ability to cycle charge. You know, it's going to slow them down, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. So you can see the Spearmen are actually able to get through all this stuff. A load of this stuff has been terrified and routed, so that is very powerful indeed. So these Marauder Berserkers, they're stuck on these Men-at-Arms for now. Shaman Sorcerer is going to go lend a hand. And now these archers are completely on their own. They're completely on their own. All this cavalry is far too far back. It needs to be further forward so it can react to those things. But I guess he thought that they were busy dealing with whatever unit they were chasing. Some more archers are coming back in. Pox arrows, so you won't get the extra fire damage, but slowing stuff down, getting that poison is very useful. Limits their ability to get as much done. It's always good to have some poison there. But immediately they're getting charged. So, Knights of the Realm weren't going for Throg. They realised they have to turn around. They have to stop this dragon. They just have to stop the Frostworms. They're getting on top of him, but the other Frostworm is coming in support. Just having both of them, it's so difficult to take them out when there's two of them. Because, you catch one out, you basically caught them both out. But, yeah, one unit of cavalry, can it really claim to have caught out two dragons? No, it's going to struggle. It's going to struggle. So over here, another juicy Earthblood, keeping all these peasants going. Very vital, and a nice breath attack, finishing off these peasant bowmen. Very, very good. But there is another unit here. I think it's facing the wrong way. So we'll have to turn around to get some damage in, because the Frostworm is coming in for it. That's bad. And Knights of the Realm did terrify a little bit. Favour of the Fae, though, giving them huge melee attack buffs there. 76 melee attack, and they have the big anti-large. But it looks like these peasant bowmen have had it again. These Knights of the Realm need to keep moving. They need to keep chasing things down. That Frostworm being so injured, you could break it pretty quickly. Throg, right in the middle of things. Nothing here is going to be brilliant against Throg. Honestly, he does regenerate, and none of the peasants are going to do too much damage to him. But, yeah, he doesn't really want to just sit there and, get to his healing cap fighting just random nonsense. You could just breath attack and absolutely murder. Now Throg is running back in, because here we have an overcast piercing bolts. And now the dragons are running in. And this is wonderful, because that extra damage, it put everything down to quite a small health pool, and made it all incredibly susceptible to terror. So now the Fey Enchantress is here on her own, fighting Throg. And that's not a good matchup for her. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. It's a bad matchup for her. So yeah, that's pretty great. Pretty great move. I mean, so many peasants, but just to scare them all off in one go like that is pretty superb. So really well played there, but there is some cavalry kind of making a mess of things. That Shaman Sorcerer is out. He is out. So these units are trying to come in here to save him, but might be too little too late. There's still questing knights that have had a Plague of Rust put on them, which is good. But there's also other questing knights. These guys could put in some work. So over here, the dragon's dead. No. Oh, Frostworm is trying to chase down the Fey Enchantress. But yeah, Knights of the Realm got on top of him. But all this stuff is still running away. It is all still running away. And it doesn't look like he wants to land. Oh yeah, maybe he does. So there we go. He's going to get some extra damage as they run. So yeah, big chunk of damage. Looked like his leadership was going up a bit. Can't have that. So you can see the Knights of the Realm and the Fey Enchantress are trying to chase down this other Frostworm. But, I mean, they're pretty injured. And this Frostworm isn't. The other one, he was an easy one to get. He had almost no health left. This one's looking a bit healthier though. But I find it strange that he's running directly away. I'd probably have ran the Frostworm towards them, because you can have Throg on the other side, and I don't like these guys' chances. But here, the Fey Enchantress is quick enough just to keep going for them. So now he turns around, realises he needs to get in the fight, but he's been taking a lot of hits from the Fey Enchantress from behind. So that's pretty bad. That Frostworm is suddenly very injured and in a very precarious position, and Throg is not catching up very quickly. I mean, he's quite fast, but, I mean, yeah, he's got quite a distance to travel. And all the infantry is starting to come back, but none of it is too dangerous anymore because, I mean, it's just so injured. It won't take much to terrify this stuff at all. But the balance of power is shifting in the favour of Bretonnia because they've still got some good cavalry going. And, yeah, this Frostworm almost bit the dust. That would have been absolutely detrimental. I mean, that would have basically been it. That would have just been Throg against the world here. And he could have just been fighting, you know, one unit of infantry at a time for the next, 20 minutes. It would have been pretty rough for him, especially because the Fey Enchantress can outrun him. So here, yep, Frostworm still running away. He got 183 kills. He's been putting some work in. And all the cavalry is starting to return. And Throg just trying to keep out of the way of all the infantry. They're being a pain. Yep, still being chased off. Frostworm still getting chased off by the Fey Enchantress. She's using Arcane Conduit, so she can get some more healing out, hopefully. For her, big Earth Blood on all these units will go a long, long way. But look at this! Frostworm managed to come back. The Frostworm is back. That is gigantic, because Throg doesn't cause terror, which I think is surprising, because he's a gigantic troll with a, with a mace the size of a building. He's terrifying. He's absolutely terrifying. But no, he doesn't cause terror. So, yep, that's a problem. And there's big Earth Blood, so that's going to keep a lot of these units in the fight. You see their leadership is actually fairly high now-ish, considering it's not bad, so they probably won't terrify immediately. But these ones probably will. Yes, there we go. So you can see the Frostworm is just trying to deal with things on the outskirts, knowing that Throg can just get in the way of anything that might try and charge in for the Frostworm. Big hit on the Fey Enchantress, and Throg is just regenerating through all of this noise. So he's having a fun time. Big hit on the Questing Knights. Questing Knights doing what they can, the infantry doing what they can to lend a hand, but the Questing Knights suffering huge damage from Throg's mighty mace. So not ideal for the Questing Knights. They've had better days, and now the Frostworm jumping in again. Big hit on the Knights, and that's going to start causing another terror out again. So yeah, a load of stuff starting to terrify. Fey Enchantress running in, and so Throg is going to turn around and hit her with a hammer. There we go. Nope, just kicked her. Apparently just kicked her. And yeah, she doesn't like being kicked by a troll. So off she goes. Yep, these spearmen, basically the only unit not wavering. Okay, Fey Enchantress has managed to stabilise, but I just don't see Bretonnia having the strength. Oh, they do have some Questing Knights there too. They're on their way back. But I just don't see them having the strength to take out Throg at this point. I think Throg could solo what's left. And will he? So this was a nice idea. Favour the Fey on the polearms, but they get terrified too quickly, so he wasn't able to capitalise on that. So that's a pity. And there we go. That's Bretonnia gone. But my word, that was a close fight. That was such a close fight. I mean, yeah, Throg had quite a lot of health left, but, I mean, that's the thing with Throg. It's either he's taken out early while he still have a lot of strength, or he'll just regenerate through all the little piecemeal attacks later on. Any sort of injured unit, he'll just win against. Especially when he's got a Frostworm, that's got his back. But look at this, load of chevrons, and these guys, 212 and 138 kills. Ton of work by these Frostworms, and that's the thing, it's not just the damage they do. All those slowing effects, it's going to stop cavalry charges being as effective, and that is super useful. That is super useful indeed. It really helps control the flow of the battlefield, and it allows all your berserkers to get a billion kills. So it's pretty great, pretty great. I mean, even the skin walls put in some work there with a 51, which is nice to see. They don't often perform as well as you'd like, because they are a bit flimsy, a bit glass cannony. If something gets the charge on them, they'll lose half their, half their health before they can really retaliate. But no, they did some good work here. This is wonderful. A load of hounds managing to keep things at bay to allow for all of the more expensive, juicier units to get in there and do some work. So absolutely wonderful. So this is King of the Dead. So he's going to be playing in the Everchosen. Can't wait for that. Unless it's already happening. Like I said, no idea when all these are going out. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. So I mean, I think this kind of showcases what he's about, because he does take a lot of risks a lot of the time. He will bring in sort of expensive centerpiece things from time to time. But when he's playing as the undead factions, he seems to just have such finely tuned things. So I think if we see him playing undead, which I'd be very surprised if we didn't, we're probably going to see very careful, coordinated builds, tried and tested. But he can often go sort of off script and bring a nice medley of sort of risks, honestly. These guys get caught out by Grail Knights or something, they're going to get wiped out straight away. So there's a lot of a gamble in, this much expense. So you've got to worry about that kind of stuff. But it did its job, and he kept his ducks in a row. He did a good job here. So we'll have to see how he does in the tournament. So guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.